Today on the show, we have Jordan, James, and Sarah, collectively known as I Love You Too. Thank you guys so much for joining us.
So excited to talk to you guys today. Welcome.
Do you guys want to tell us a little bit about your guys' background and story, how you guys all met?
Well, James and I met in 2006 at the end of high school, and we grew up together from there. We did college together. We bought our first house. Then we got married in like 2013, I think it was.
Sounds right.
and then James said, I don't know if I can be with one person the rest of my life.
Oh, the polybomb.
Okay. Well, talk to me about what that means.
I feel like you skipped over a few other pieces too.
for dramatic effect.
Yeah.
It's for dramatic effect. So that's how it came from my perspective.
No, there were other discussions. Like it was when we first started dating. Jordan, she told me about this story about her with this girl in high school, and like she didn't realize that she was crushing on the girl.
Not at all.
And she was explaining this whole thing, and I'm like, Jordan, I think you might like girls. And she's like, no.
I like boys.
Right. Like, it's like I can pick both.
So yeah, there was so that was part of it, but then there was like also I think what she was referring to was just like, you know, the pre-wedding jitters kind of thing, where it was like, oh, like I don't know if I can do the whole marriage thing. I've always been kind of anti-marriage. Don't like the idea of like I want somebody to know that I'm with them because I want to be with them, not because there's some like looming like I don't know, punitive effect.
Right.
So yeah, that was lots of different conversations around that.
Yeah. So we started talking about it, and then after a little bit of time, you know, we started dating, and all this time, like, we've been friends with Sarah the whole time, and she's just watching us.
So she knew you guys were open at that point? Sarah, you knew they were open?
Yeah,
Okay.
I knew they were open, and I was actually open within the relationship I was in at that time, but we weren't transparent about that with James and Jordan. So it was kind of like a one-way street. We actually at one point connected with them, or I'm sorry, not connected, matched with them on like, I think it was Swingers Life Social or something. Like,
way before
they knew that like we were also open and stuff. So it was kind of funny how our paths had crossed several times, and I watched them go through a handful of girlfriends, and the whole time, like that Avril Lavigne song was going off in my head, like I could be a better girlfriend than that.
That's awesome. So had you guys had been in another throuple prior to having Sarah, or what was the dynamic prior to that?
Yeah, not anything serious. With, like I said, dating more so, like just trying to figure out what we wanted our lives to be, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say dating, not really a throuple.
Okay. Yeah. Makes sense.
I'm curious, James, when you were saying that before you actually talked to Jordan about opening the relationship, it wasn't so cut and dry. So I'm sure there was a lot of thoughts in your mind that you were going through. What were they? What were you thinking about?
I don't know.
Like, how did it all start? What was the seed that was planted in your head? Like, I don't think I want to be monogamous. Is it something you always had?
I think that's just kind of like what I was also talking about, like the whole like marriage. Like, I don't know. I guess I've just always been more like open to everything. So it seems like kind of putting yourself in the box of monogamy. Just, I don't know. There's something that doesn't fit in my head right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I get that. No,
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's a specific type of person. I feel I'm the same way. I feel like Josh is the same way. So I completely get it.
Yeah. And you guys,
I think that was part of the reason what drew to him in the first place is he thinks so differently. And I had a somewhat sheltered upbringing, and James just blew my mind.
break all the
Yeah.
walls down.
Yeah. So Jordan and James, you guys had that conversation prior to getting married of James saying like monogamy just doesn't make sense to me. Is that right?
Sort of. So there's also another part of that. We sort of eloped and didn't tell very many people.
True, we did. And then we had our wedding like a year or so later. So within that time period, the conversation happened. So we were
Okay.
technically married.
Okay.
It was after
But it
marriage,
was-
before wedding.
Okay.
Okay. That's exciting. And where
I
were
see why I paraphrased.
Yes. And while this was happening, where were you, Sarah? What was going on in your life?
I was monogamous with my other relationship at that time. We're no longer together. We were at one point a quad, but
Brief overlap.
a brief overlap. But four's a crowd for us.
Yeah.
So
This is not the first time we've heard this story
Yeah.
recently.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
but yeah,
opinions
I
are
was
mixed,
friends, but
yeah.
I wasn't a part of the wedding or anything. I came a couple years after that.
Right,
Okay.
right. And at that time, you were non-monogamous when you met them. You already...
When I met them, oh gosh, so
Well, we
were,
met a while back, technically. We just didn't really, we didn't take to friendship right away.
yeah, we were connected through a mutual friend. So my previous relationship, he was really good friends with our friend Sammy, and Sammy actually went to school with James. So Sammy's like this little connection of connecting all of our worlds together. And we would go to parties and we would see James and Jordan and stuff like that. But it was like more of acquaintances for
Right.
a long time before it developed into friendship and then really developed.
Yeah.
How was that transition, like from friendship to more?
First, it was terrifying.
Yes.
And then after you get past that 1 second, it was like the easiest thing ever.
Mm.
Because we already had that strong basis of friendship
Right.
going. And
Yeah.
it was easy.
Yeah, very easy transition
Yeah,
for us.
after you just get over all the other
Yeah.
fine hurdles or whatnot, worry about ruining your friendship
Right.
or
Yeah, I wanted
messing
to
with
ask
the friend group. We had a
Mhm.
solid friend group, where we were all just hanging out all the time. So that and
There were definitely some hard parts of it too, because like me and Sarah's ex-husband had become like really good friends over this time, and I remember when when I realized that it was like my feelings for Sarah were more than just like, hey, like we're having fun and stuff. It was like, oh crap, I gotta tell like my best friend that I'm starting to have serious feelings for his wife, which is like, how do you breach that? It was very terrifying, very hard
Mm.
to do.
Prior to that, did you realize that, James, that you were polyamorous? Or was that a surprise to you when you started developing feelings like that for Sarah?
I think we had an idea that like we were looking for more, because like the polyamorous thing, I never even knew that was a thing either until like the first person that we started kind of dating was like, oh, like, can I be your girlfriend? Like, I want us to be like exclusive. I was like they had just kind of like, I think that's when the first time it really dawned on me that,
yeah, I remember that too because it never really crossed my mind as like, oh,
and like that's the first time it was like we started looking things up, and it's like, oh my goodness, like there's an entire
It's possible.
like this is like we're not breaking the mold that much. Like
Yeah.
there's a lot of other people out there in this situation.
This is a
which
thing.
is-
Yeah.
yeah, it was nice to know that there was that community out there, though.
Yeah. That's awesome. There's a lot of crossover similarities that I hear between your guys' story and ours. Like Josh and I met in 05, married in 06. And before we got married, he was similar, like just vocalizing like monogamy doesn't make sense. It never has made sense. But at the same time, that's the only option. You meet somebody you want to spend your life with. Like we were very much religious in the church at the time. And it's like, okay, well, we want to spend our life together. The only way to do that is to get married. So that's what we do. And then, yeah, fast forward years later, we open our marriage. And then all of a sudden he starts developing feelings for somebody else. And it's like, and then that person tells us about polyamory. It's like,
Oh shit, that's a thing.
That's a thing. And he knew it. He knew as soon as he heard it as well. I was like, okay, that's me, and that's always been me. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Very similar.
Yeah, I think that's also why like I've been very open about like our relationship, like trying to be just like, hey, like this is a thing, because and since doing that, I have had probably I think I probably had over like 20 like friends, coworkers, other people like confide in me and be like, hey, like what, like how can I get into the community, like because that's something that I knew was an option or didn't know was like just people coming out and like asking, and but it's not typically them being open either, so it's like I really wish I could connect you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
So you guys are open
have, like,
even with employment and everything.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Awesome. And have you been basically from the beginning, or how long did it take to get to the point where you're like, okay, we can't hide this anymore?
Well, I think it's been about 5 years since we really started just telling everyone, in our our family, our friends, they kind of figured it out like right
instantly.
And we've got a large family and a huge support system. So between the three of us, we've got like 17 siblings, so many nieces and nephews. Wow. Like crazy. Awesome. And so like we got all the reactions in the book, but most of them were most of them were really positive and really good reactions. And a lot of people, they just, oh yeah, we knew that was going on. Mm-hmm. We're like, oh,
my dad was like, oh yeah, no, like I was almost certain that you guys were not going to be traditional. Like, okay.
I love it.
The first couple of years, we kind of kept it more quiet and to ourselves, especially because our fourth was like transitioning out at that point.
And also very, very against it being open, like public.
That's true. That person was kind of driving a lot of the decision making. That's true. And so then after that, we settled into ourselves, and we're pretty boring, honestly.
I imagine you guys had to feel pretty alone or isolated for a while, because you're one of the oldest Throuples we've seen. 2017. It seemed like there was a surge after COVID. Mm-hmm. Everybody sat down and started thinking what they really wanted. They all thought they were going to die when you're faced with your mortality. You're like, what do I really want out of life? And so there seemed to be more of a surge. But even after we started this podcast, it was because we felt kind of alone. We're like, there's just nobody like us out there. But once we started the Facebook group, like now we see Throuples every single day joining the Facebook group. So it's like they're everywhere, and they're just looking for community.
We felt alone when we were not right. We are not alone.
We're not alone.
Yeah.
We might be in the shadows, but we're not alone.
We're not alone.
Not anymore. Not anymore in the shadows.
Well, definitely not us. There's freaking lights on us as we speak.
How was it when you decided to move in together? How was it like? Because that's a big step.
So when I moved in to the house, I was also moving out of my own home, right? Like I was in the middle of a divorce and everything. So it was, for me, it was a really tough transition. And just because there was outside things going on, right? Like if I didn't have all that extra drama, it probably would have been fantastic and great and super easy. But like James and Jordan made sure to make me feel at home here, right? Like I moved in and I'm moving into a home that's not my home. I'm having to sell my house. I'm having to get a new car. Like I'm completely changing my life all at once. And I remember one night there was like, Jordan asked me, what do you need? I was like, I think I need like $1 million and something else. And I came home and there's Monopoly money all over my bed. She's like, here's your $1 million. Like anything to make you feel at home here, please, honey. Like what else do you need? Check. Like
that's awesome.
But like, yeah, specifically when I moved in, I wasn't ready to like share like a bedroom dwelling space. Like I kind of wanted my own space. So I actually moved into one of the guest bedrooms, and like we just made it our own. We just decided that there wasn't going to be a script for this, right? Like typically this script is like graduate high school, you go to college, you get married, you have kids, blah, blah, blah. And there's no script for any of this. So we're just making it up on the fly, which is fantastic. And you get to make it your own, which I love. And we did. And I was very transparent about how coming into their home, there's like pictures of them at their wedding and there's this, and it's their home. It doesn't necessarily feel like my home. which it just takes time, right? Like the longer you're in the relationship together, the more things grow and develop. And now you look around our home and it's like, it's obvious it's our home. Yeah. There's pictures of all of us everywhere. And, just everything is so integrated and so wonderful. So
yeah, that's
that
very
transition
similar.
was definitely first.
Very similar with us because I moved into Josh's and Char's house, and I didn't find it unusual because I knew it was in my home, so I expected it to be that way. But yes, I was like a guest for a while, and now that we have the house together, it's different. But I get it. I completely understand.
Yeah.
We felt like to just shake things up and make it, we needed to start from scratch. So we not only did we get a brand new house, but we like in another state.
Yeah.
It's like we had to start all
that's
over.
cool.
Right. Initially, we lived in California, in Sacramento, and now we're in
we were
Houston.
Sacramento. Yeah. And now we're in the devil's armpit.
That is exactly what it is.
Be nice.
I'm originally from Ventura County, so
we're all transplants. I'm actually originally from Alabama, and Jordan's from Kansas. So
that's amazing.
All over. That's awesome. James and Jordan, was there anything that you guys did when Sarah moved in to kind of make it feel like her space as well, or like any intentional changes that you guys made during that process?
Well, we made the guest room into her room, and she just moved all of her stuff in there. But like, I don't think she ever slept in there.
I don't think so.
It was there for a while, and then we're like, why?
But it's nice to have the option. It's nice that you created a space for her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did any of you have any have any trouble adjusting with like from the hierarchy that just naturally comes with a traditional marriage? Like, did anybody have a hard time kind of letting go of some of those hierarchical mindsets?
I don't think we did, but once again, like the past life stuff, like as we were when it was the four of us, like there definitely was there were a lot of like rules, and yes, the hierarchy of like, primary, secondary, and like we've never approached it that way. So, but I don't know.
We've experienced it. But
secondhand.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, it sounds like it's all been just a very organic transition and very, very meant to be. So it's beautiful.
Do you feel, Sarah, do you feel like your relationship with Jordan and your relationship with James, do you feel like they progressed on different levels? Like I hear that in other throuples that the two relationships actually progress differently and it's normal. Did you have that experience?
Well, yeah, because I think that every relationship is unique, right? Like, and I think and I don't know if you guys experience this, but for me, like I have a relationship with James,
right,
and I have a relationship with Jordan, but then we all have a relationship together. So there's actually like 3 relationships going on, and then you have your relationship with yourself too. So I guess technically 4, but still, like there's a lot of relationship maintenance and stuff going on, and I don't know. I feel like it was pretty easy. I think that like James and I connected on a like a more physical level at first, but Jordan and I like really connected emotionally, and so like there was connections, and because they're each individual people, like you just pursue how that relationship naturally goes. But I feel like that things progressed and like fell deeper at the same time.
Nice.
Awesome.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Awesome. And to
the multiple relationships is definitely an interesting piece too, because when Jordan and I were dating, we had an experience where there was a girl that we were seeing for a while, and then things started to sour, and I was done with the relationship. Like I was kind of at the point like, okay, no more. But Jordan still had feelings for the person, so like, I don't know. There's some interesting stuff that happens there.
There
some
is.
Interesting, we're still together, but I don't want anything to do with her. Jordan does now, and actually at that time it got even more confusing.
It got a little chaotic for a while.
Yeah, that's unusual.
Remember that as their slut stage.
That's something like it's unusual from your everyday monogamous couple relationship where you do have these different types of relationships, and you can't order your partner not to like somebody just because you don't like them.
Yeah. So you guys were all open originally, and now you've been closed since 2017. Is that, you guys ever miss being open, being part of that?
No.
No, you're like, yeah.
James was over here.
No, I feel like it's like I am fulfilled. Like I'm happy now. Like the thing that was itching at the back of my brain was like, I don't like this construct that we're in. Like that's gone.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if it's age or I think it's just scenario. Like but you can't really tell. Yeah.
But I feel like that if one of us was to come to the group and say, hey, I want to open this up or something, it's definitely a conversation. Like the thing is that just because it's closed now doesn't mean it doesn't have the opportunity to open up later, right? Like we've done a lot of being transparent and having lots of communication and having a lot of trust to where if one of us was starting to feel that way, I think that we would all feel very comfortable having that conversation. And then where we go from there, that's where we go, right? That's just where the relationship goes. And it's just making sure that people feel comfortable and that we all are still connected in that way to be able to have those feelings and communicate those feelings.
That's awesome. That's one of my favorite things about this dynamic we're finding that in a lot of thruples. It's a very similar answer of, well, this is how we are right now. And we're all really happy here, but we know that we all change and you can't predict the future.
Change,
so
change,
and I think that's something that you don't get usually in monogamous relationships. There's a very hard line of like, no,
you're not even allowed to have that conversation.
We are this. Yeah. You can't have that conversation. It can't even be a thought. So yeah, it's a beautiful thing. It's one of my favorite things about this, this relationship dynamic.
Do you guys do most everything together, or do you guys make time for each other, like each individual dyad?
Wanted to ask the same question.
Oh my gosh. I think that we used to spend a little bit more, we used to try to do like girl dates and then like go and do things with James and stuff like that. But since COVID, we're just all at home together all the time and we're totally fine with I'm totally fine with it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, every now and then we'll split up. Like for Valentine's Day, like Sarah and I went to a performance, and James wasn't like interested in going, so he stayed home. And like then like dinner was ready when we got home.
That was perfect because I was like, take the money for my seat and get better seats for you guys, and you guys go and enjoy it, and I'll cook dinner.
Exactly. I get a war movie, something they don't care about, or a revenge. Revenge movies are the best.
But then, me and Sarah, and that's one of the other like great things about our relationship is like because we have all the different like interconnected relationships. So stuff that I can't do with Jordan because she's not interested, or if she does it, it's just a chore. Like Sarah, like there's all these different dynamics. So it just feels better.
You guys had a date today with a supply store.
That's what
You left the house together.
Yeah, that's a thing. Liv and Shar are leaving this week to go on a spiritual retreat and do like yoga and bullshit like that. Have
That
fun.
sounds awesome.
Like,
Bullshit. God. You're just
Something
jealous.
he does not want to do.
What are you going to do instead then, Josh, if you're going to be at home? While
I've
they're
got a
on
lot
their
of
retreat?
nice cigars and some fine scotch and
Nice.
and more revenge and war movies.
and the kids. The kids will be home with him.
Yeah, they go down early though.
But they'll be at school during the day. So.
Yeah.
Yes.
I know you guys have an RV. How is it traveling with an RV as a throuple?
Hooking it up is like it's a full first ordeal, but like once we get that going, it's great.
Is it a trailer, fifth wheel, or what do you guys have?
Yeah, it's a toy hauler technically. So we use it as, I don't know.
It's a pull along. Yeah.
I know.
And it has like a back part that comes down and stuff. So it's a toy hauler. So you can like put your dirt bikes and motorcycles and such. And
Nice.
We don't do that. We use it as a party patio.
yeah, we do.
Nice.
We drink on the patio.
Yes. We've always had them, and I've tried every single setup, but finally I think I settled on the fifth wheel toy hauler. It was the last one we had was 40-foot toy hauler, and the only time me and Shar's ever fought is when she's backing me up, and I'm blind and I can't see how to get in the RV spot. And
I'm so bad.
telling me-
I can barely drive forward. You try to. I don't drive backwards and try to direct
She
driving
goes,
backwards. Like,
"Keep
nope.
going. Wait, stop! You just hit something." And like, That's your only job.
We have a little sign when you go inside the camper, and it says, "Love is staying together after parking the camper."
Yes.
Or something like along the lines of that. And we're like, it's perfect.
So that is a problem. And problem.
That's a thing. Anytime we'd pull into a campsite and somebody would offer to direct him in, I'm like, yes, and thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for not, because some people won't even offer because they're like afraid of offending the women. I'm like, yeah, no, thank you for offering. You saved a marriage today. Saved a fight anyway.
You're a hero.
How is it traveling together? How is it sharing a bathroom with 3 people? We find that to be the most challenging thing. We love to be together. We definitely enjoy the king size bed. We never have a problem. But sharing a bathroom with 3 people when you have to get ready, that is really challenging for us.
We've never found an RV with a big enough bed either. That's the other problem.
Yeah.
No matter
We had
what.
to convert ours.
You convert it. Okay.
Yeah, we added a king because it's impossible.
Yeah.
Without bathroom, I don't know. We just kind of take shifts, I guess. I don't really have too many issues.
Well, normally it's like you kind of go first and do bathroom stuff, and then I pull James along and try to get him ready while I'm also getting myself ready. Yes.
Okay, so
There's
something
just
goes on.
Planning
Yeah.
is involved.
Yeah.
What's the culture like at the RV parks? Like, do people figure out that you guys are all together, or pretty much stick to themselves? Or
We boondock.
what's that?
We don't go to RV parks very often.
We typically rough it. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, we don't have an RV right now, and I miss it.
When you're camping, do you bring the chicken with you?
She goes everywhere.
All the animals.
It's a caravan.
That's awesome.
I want a chicken. Can we have a
Do you?
chicken?
Yeah.
I love
Recommend.
chickens.
Is it a rooster or is it a chicken?
It's a she.
She's a hen. She's a chicken.
Oh, okay.
So how is it? Is she like potty trained? Like what's the deal? I want to know.
Diaper. I mean, multiple diapers, but
Ah.
washable chicken diapers. I mean, she's outside during the day, so it's really just at night.
So how did
When
you
she's on the couch.
how did
Yeah,
you
when
end up
she's on
getting
the
a chicken?
couch.
Like what's the story?
We found her, so we were at
Wonder in a
Sierra
cockfight?
work event.
In underground.
Found her from my Chick-fil-A. Because there was a mobile petting zoo at a work event that Sarah had going on, and I found her there, and I was like, "Hey, I need this chicken." And I just fell in love with her, and this guy was like, "Do you have $7?" I was like,
That's
Oh my
$7.
God.
That's a deal.
It's a cheap chicken.
That's all right.
The rest is history.
pretty much.
I tell everybody
It's
she's
like
a
having an
rescue.
extra dog.
She was going straight to
Yes.
McDonald's. It's gonna be
Was.
Do you guys have any animals?
We have 2 cats and a turtle.
Yeah.
Very small
Oh,
turtle.
cool.
We found the turtle.
We
We
found
had to
it.
pay
What kind of turtle?
$7 for it.
The turtle found us. It found our pool.
Every pet
It's
we
so
own,
tiny.
we find.
That's
We have
sad.
a snake neck turtle, and we have
A couple of sulcata
2
tortoises.
a couple of sulcata tortoises. We used to have a lot more sulcatas. They started breeding in our backyard, and they were
Oh wow.
all surviving.
We couldn't give them away fast enough. This is a
Wow.
whole
50 tortoises, and we're like,
Yeah.
anyone want this?
Oh my god.
And we have a bunch of dogs, and then the chicken.
What is your guys' favorite thing about being in a throuple? And this is something that I would love it if each of you can answer this.
I would say the support system, just like having an extra person in the relationship to rely upon and just handle life together. I know, like, you can speak to it too, but we went through, well, Sarah had cancer about a year ago, wrapped up treatment last May. But the year that we were going through treatment, it was just, I don't know how people do it if they're not
Right.
in a throuple.
Wow.
Like,
Yeah.
and obviously people do. So just
Yeah.
having, that extra person to be able to
Yeah, we were watching.
Yeah.
We were
life with.
checking your Instagram, and we were reading your posts, and we were thinking about the same thing. How much how better it is to have somebody to help you when you're a caregiver. Like having the extra
Yeah.
support, and Sarah, you can turn to 2 people rather than 1, and it's easier. I'm sure.
Congratulations
yeah,
on
that divide and conquer was so
Yeah.
helpful, and it was actually a conversation we had a lot when I was going through cancer. Was how do monogamous people do this
Mhm.
and have children?
Yeah.
Mind blowing.
It's
Yeah.
there was just so much. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm assuming
I really
it's,
appreciate
yeah.
that part too.
James and I were able to like never leave her alone. Like we had one of us at home, one of us was with her, and then we'd like switch. So we were able to get a pretty good routine going so that someone was always there with her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which was very helpful because when you're going through the chemo and stuff, like chemo brain is a thing, right?
Mm-hmm,
like it is very similar to pregnancy brain from my understanding is you're just forgetting everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so having someone there to be able to keep track of things, help you write things down, help remember what doctors said to and to not do was just so helpful. And I feel like it made my recovery so much better too. So
That's
It's
It's
awesome.
also very hard, like having that support ripped away too, like during that whole process, being the person that wasn't there and didn't like we had so many unknowns. Like it was terrifying. Like when we actually were living out of the camper at the time. Like, but being there and not knowing what's happening with the doctors, like what is the progression? Are Sarah's are her numbers good today? Like is it like what's happening?
Mhm.
You can't be on the phone obviously all the time because like other person's giving Sarah support. But it was very, very difficult being that odd person out.
Interesting.
Definitely
Yeah.
come to rely on the network.
I hadn't thought of it from that perspective.
Yeah, I feel like it happens all the time. Like if I'm not around and you're supporting Josh with something, I do feel like, hey, I could have. Like, if we would have been a couple, yeah, you get to be there. So it's like it's good and bad because it's more draining, but at the same time you're more involved. I get that.
Yeah.
Sarah, was it your brother that got married when you were going through treatment, and then James was kind of everybody's representative at the wedding and Zoomed? Yeah,
He's carrying a phone around.
yeah, that's awesome.
it was so helpful, like to be because I wasn't very transparent with my family to as why I was in the hospital.
Okay.
It all kind of happened incredibly quickly. Like we went out there for the wedding, and on my birthday we got the diagnosis, and then I was in the hospital within 6 hours of having my diagnosis and and I was on treatment. The cancer was very fast acting, so there wasn't any time for communication. It all happened so quickly that I was still processing it too. So I kind of kept it from my family. Like they knew that I was in the hospital and that things were going to be okay, but like I wasn't going to be at the wedding. They didn't get any details
Until the day after the wedding.
Yes, and then I told everyone after the wedding. I did pull my brother and my sister-in-law aside and told them everything. Like, this is what's going on. This is how we're going to move forward. Are you comfortable with it? Like, how do you want me to handle? Because I didn't want anything to interfere with their day.
Yeah.
But me not being there, it's kind of noticeable.
Right. Yeah.
Well, congratulations for beating it.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank
Exciting
you.
news.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Got lucky on the type of cancer. Very fast acting, incredibly deadly if not caught soon enough, but highly treatable. One of the most treatable cancers. It's actually one of the very few that you can eventually call yourself cured from.
Wow.
So I got lucky in that aspect.
Amazing.
That's awesome. So when will you officially be cured of it?
I think they have to give me 5 years.
Okay.
But my chance of it coming back is like under 2%. It's so low.
Nice.
Awesome.
0%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And I noticed, also on Instagram, Jordan, you had knee surgeries. A lot of them. Was that happening at the same time, or?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
I totally forgot about that. Yeah. So as we were starting her final round of chemo, I kicked a tennis ball for the dog to chase and tore my ACL. And it was my right one. And the way we'd set everything up after like going through cancer was that James was going to keep on work full time. I was going to take like very little projects, and she was on disability, but I was driving her to and from treatments. And it's like, it was my right leg. And it's like, I need that one to drive. And so it became really chaotic for a while there. James had to somehow
To take her to PT, to surgery, all that stuff. Take her to chemo. Put in my 40 hours a week minimum, probably more like 60, 70. But
like without him, like we were both on the couch at the same time, like being like, I feel like crap. Do you feel like crap? Yes.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So you guys are keeping each other company, feeling like crap, and James is taking care of you both. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he's just running around like with so many balls in the air, and he did an amazing job. Somehow kept it all together. Again, I don't know how we would have done it if it was just two of us.
Yeah.
And now that you're on the Right? Now that you're on the other side of it, how does it make you feel? The fact that you stuck together and you work together and you beat it.
It feels amazing. Like I just look back at that time in our lives, and I know that there was a lot going on, like physically, emotionally, financially. It was tough, right? But I couldn't be more proud. It's one of my proudest like moments of us, like as a family, getting through all of that, going through all of that, and then the whole time laughing. Mm-hmm. I mean, we laughed and we spent so much time together. And there's sometimes that I kind of miss it, right? Mm-hmm. Like I miss just being with my family. I miss just having to only think about how do I get to the end of the day? Well, I know I'm going to make it because I have the two of you, and so looking back, I actually have a lot of fond memories, even though it's technically a very terrible time in our lives, right? But I couldn't have been happier to go through it with the both of you. Like it was just perfect.
Yeah, that's beautiful. You were tested and you did amazing.
Yeah.
There were also other challenges that like with the hospital and stuff, because like polyamory, like that's not something that
How was that?
So we're also at the end of like COVID, like the major COVID restrictions. So like me and Jordan were the same person a lot of times because you could only have one approved person to go in. Luckily, Jordan's fairly ambiguous, so she would come down and switch, like pull her guest name tag off, give it to me, and it's like, okay, I'm Jordan now.
Nice.
They confused the nurses so much because they would have notes, and they're like, patient's husband was here, and then the next morning it's like, patient's wife is here, and they're like,
what is going on?
Like it's 2024. I can change. I'm identifying as this today. Oh my goodness.
Figured that out.
And they even helped us. Like they're like, hey, like
the other cheek. They're like, switch off during here and here.
Nice.
Telling us when the nurse switch change was, shift changes were, and
nice.
And we got to. They let us in your room a few times together on my birthday.
Yeah, on your birthday. You were allowed. Yeah, James went to Costco on a motorcycle and brought back a cake. And, and we had cake for Jordan's birthday in the hospital. It was great.
That's awesome. So were you hospitalized pretty much the whole time, or were you able to go to the RV at all? Or
so I was hospitalized for almost 2 months.
Okay.
45-ish days. Yeah. So about a month and a half or so. And then, so at the hospital, they actually had RV slots. And so we brought our trailer and parked it there. Nice. And James and Jordan were living out of that. And then when I was released, when I was well enough to leave the hospital bed, but not well enough to leave campus. And City of Hope actually has a hotel for this situation, right? Or you can bring your travel trailer if you have one. And we chose that way. So then we had to stay on campus for a couple more weeks after that. But eventually I did get to come home. And we came back to Arizona because I was, mind you, in California, which is not where we're from, right? So I was doing all of this out of state for several months. And then we came back home, and then I just was outpatient at home. And oh man, so nice to be home after being in a hospital and then being in a different state. And one of our dogs was here, so we didn't even have all of our animals with us at that time. Wow. And there was a lot of moving parts. At that time, we did have a roommate living with us, so that was fantastic to have like this extra person at our home taking care of our animals, taking care of the pool pump when it explodes, and life is still going on where you're going through all this.
Yes.
We do have a lot of family in California too, so it was great.
Nice.
Nice. Good support systems everywhere. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well,
we did get lucky with that.
Well, congratulations again on being on the other side of that. That's great news.
What is so now we know what's your favorite thing about being in a throuple. What is the most challenging thing?
So long ago.
It just got easier. It just got easier. I don't know.
Our relationship, I feel like, is the easiest relationship I've ever had. Like it flows so simply and stuff. I think that, I don't know, sometimes it's hard to be like truthful to yourself, right? Like, so I think that's hard, but I think that's just hard in general, right? That doesn't matter what kind of relationship you're in. You just got to be truthful with yourself.
Why do you think the relationship flows so easily? Is it the communication, compatibility? What is it in your idea?
I think Sarah can, like me and Jordan, like we're good, but we had our gaps. And Sarah brought in like this amazing, like emotional quotient. Like she's like an emotional genius, I swear. Like, you know, like she just filled in that gap, like made us whole. I don't know. Like, I feel like I've always kind of like not really believed in the, you know, oh my, like this person like completely completed me. Like there's nothing else I need ever. But now, like I do feel that a little bit because it's like, oh, like she has the things that I was highly lacking in, and like Jordan were lacking in. Like she just worked.
Yep.
Like the puzzle wasn't
the missing piece of the puzzle.
Makes you all better. I know that we've talked about that before on other episodes where like Josh and I had this great relationship before, like always, and people who knew us and then now know that we are in a throuple are like, why would you do that? Because you hear so much of people opening up because they're trying to fix something or they're missing something or whatever. It's like, well, what we've always had, we still have, but now we have something even better. So, and people can't understand that really unless they've been in that situation. So
I agree with that.
I totally hear. Yeah.
And tying it a little bit, like I get that question of like, oh, like what's the best part of your relationship? Because most people are looking at, they're like, hey, you got two wives or two women. And I was like, no, it's not that at all. I was like, I think the best part of it is also having two people to tell you you're being an asshole for something.
Right.
It's like, you know, you're like, oh, maybe we're not just having an argument or something, or maybe there's not just a disagreement. Maybe I'm like, if I've got two people that I love and like I trust them so much, if they're both telling me that I'm probably in the wrong, I'm probably in the wrong.
No, the perfect defense is you just say, you always take her side. That's what I do. It'll buy you more time.
He doesn't. He don't do that. He's joking. He does say that we are. There was a time when, what was it that we contradicted you about something, and it turned out that we were not right.
Well, see, they always play on me because I got a TBI from the war. So
we didn't do it on purpose, though.
So I don't have a great memory. They always tell me, "Oh no, this is how it really went," and I was, "Oh, is that right?" Because I remember it different. But then it was on the podcast. I'm watching one of our episodes later, and I was like, I knew it. And you both agreed and ganged up on me, and I knew the truth. So now that we're on camera all the time, they can't pull this on me anymore. Do you guys, any of you come from a religious background? No?
Sarah's nodding.
All three of you have Hebrew names, so I was just taking a shot in the dark here.
Coincidence for me.
That is a coincidence for her. She didn't know that she was Jewish until recently.
Like 5 years ago, I took a DNA test.
Sarah, were you nodding that you do come from a religious background?
Yes, my family was religious growing up, and there's parts of my family who I'm just not close to, so therefore they don't know about us. Right? I'm not completely out with all of my family. I'm out with my immediate family, with my nuclear family, but the rest of my family is pretty religious, so I just choose not to rock their world in that way.
Yeah, that makes sense. The ones that you have told, have they been accepting?
Some of them have come around. Others are, they don't, it's just so out of their realm that they try to be respectful as they can, right? And so I just take the relationship for what that is.
Yeah.
And we try to be respectful back. Like Jordan's really good and very quick-witted, and she's highly comical, but she tries to tone it down around my family because
I censor myself.
You do censor yourself because she has some shots that she can pull that can just really blow their mind, right?
Thank you.
Yeah, my brother. I mean, when I came out to my middle brother, oh man, he had the best reaction. He was, I don't know how to deal with this information, so can I have a minute to digest? So then we got off the phone, and then of course I went into panic mode, and then he called me back with 50 million questions. He's like, I have so many questions that I have to ask you. Like, are you guys do you have a schedule, or are you just hamster pile all on the bed? And very deep, personal questions and stuff.
And he's like, bam, bam, bam. We're like, all right.
It was great.
Which is awesome because I feel like most people instead just make their own assumptions, and it's like they're sitting there thinking, I'm sure a lot of people think it's all about sex.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, like it's not. It's like, we sleep in the, like, we don't want to be away from each other.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, that's why.
Yeah.
Like,
Curiosity is healthy. Yeah. Once they start asking questions, that's always a good thing. So do you sleep
I read-
together, all three of you, all the time? And who sleeps in the middle? I have to ask my usual question.
This is our lineup. This is how we
Like
sleep.
that? Okay. So where?
unless it's super cold, like if we're camping somewhere cold, or if it's like really cold in the house, even like we'll move Jordan in the middle because she burns at the temperature of the sun. So she's like our space heater.
Yeah.
In the summers,
Nice.
they shun me to the outside, to the perimeter of the bed.
So how is
I
it?
actually are summers.
How is it sleeping in the middle, Sarah? Like, do you find it challenging that you don't have a side table? Where do you keep your things? Like, what? How is it? How does it work for you?
So I think it kind of, sometimes it depends. A lot of the time it depends on the, if it's summertime out here or not. Because as you guys know, in Phoenix, there's no reprieve.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's 80 degrees minimum at all times. And sometimes in the summer, it's a little challenging. And then there's times in the winter where it's just cozy and perfect and wonderful. As for bedside tables, like I just kind of hand things off to whoever has a hand open,
Mhm.
right? Both of them are mine.
Charge my phone.
Nice.
It's really it.
Yeah.
So you have two bedside tables instead of one. I like that.
Yes. Yes. And then in order to get off the bed, I scooch all the way to the foot of the bed and then get off.
Separate blankets.
Mhm.
Yeah,
That
everyone
was
has
going to
their
be my
own
question.
blankets.
Nice.
Yeah, we use 3 separate blankets. We've also heard other thruples using 2 blankets, and then the person in the middle kind of chooses which blanket they're under.
Oh, nice. You guys kind of do that.
I kind of do that. Yeah. We have like 3 blankets, and then sometimes it's too cold, so then I take James's blanket and
Yeah.
Never too cold, so I'm
cute.
not part of the quilt.
I think we have 3 separate temperatures. I have like no blanket. You're 1 blanket. You're like 4 blankets.
Yeah,
It's like-
that's true. And Shar and I trying to warm each other up, impossible. So hard.
Yeah, the logistics are always just very interesting. Like, yeah, when you add another person in the whole mix,
Yep.
like there's things that you think that you have to think about that you never thought of.
Yep.
Like, it's just
yeah, like going on a cruise. Oh, they only have queen size beds.
Yes.
This is gonna suck.
yeah.
Yeah, and also like we found out that you can book a cruise for 3 people. When we were looking into it, we couldn't. It was either 2 or 4.
But it's still a queen size bed, I think, in all of them.
It's still
yeah.
a queen size bed. Yeah.
It's like
I
a
think
queen
I had
size
to
and a
sleep
full
on like the little couch thing.
Yeah, we kind of rotated who was on the
Yeah.
couch,
There you
and those beds aren't super comfortable and stuff either. So it's just you're
Tough
just
it out.
Yeah, you tough it out, and then you just go drink at the bar the next day, and it's
Yeah.
fine.
That's
Like
right.
I
everything's
was going to
great.
say that's the secret. Don't
That's
sleep in
the
the
secret.
bed. We bought that all drinking pass. You just stay up the whole
Just
time.
get drunk.
Yeah, I never sober up.
So have you guys found it difficult to find resources specifically for thruples?
I guess kind of sometimes, like going in when we do our taxes, because I'm technically, a single person and they're married and stuff. So how do we tax wise divvy that up when we all, share a home and own a home together and such? But from that point of view, what's kind of nice is that I could own a home and they could also own a home, and we could have 2 primary residences and not have to pay the tax of having a secondary residence. So there's if anything, there's a couple loopholes that are pretty nice.
That's
We're
interesting.
trying to
Yeah.
Yeah.
out.
But on your question of like resources, yeah, like it's not something that's being taken into account. So yeah, I mean, I definitely had some interesting conversations with like my HR department. It's like, hey, what resources are available? Like health insurance, I need to ask just because I don't know.
Yeah.
So like, what is the situation there? And just trying to find who to talk to about the right things. Like, yeah, it's definitely hard.
Yeah, and most of the
because
time you find people
these
that
people
don't
are-
know either. Because
Yeah.
they've never had to deal with that situation.
Yeah, we were interviewing another throuple a couple weeks ago, and they were saying their loophole for the healthcare was you start a business. You create some kind of a business together, and then you can get insurance for the company, all the employees.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm like batting around the idea of like, oh, like maybe a different job somewhere, like moving companies or something. And I was like, okay, sweet. Like Sarah works at the same company, so technically, like Jordan, you want to get a divorce? like if I'm intermittent in a job, like you guys could get married. Like it's going to be a very funny conversation with a lawyer. Like, hey, do you guys bundle marriage and divorces? Like, can we work
We
out
got
a
2 for
deal?
1, please.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did interview a throuple a couple weeks ago that they got married or got divorced, and then the women got married. People finding all kinds of solutions.
We could do it every 5 or 10 years or so. Had to get divorced and get married in a different combination.
Bounce back and forth.
We've talked about like kids too, and it's always like, it's kind of a hard topic of like who like how is the power dynamic there and the legal dynamic and everything, and
how do we protect all of us legally with children and such.
And like similar there, it's like, oh, like once again, like, yeah, maybe like, me and Jordan get divorced so that they can get married, and then like everybody's tied to the children like their own ways. Like it's not going to be a just one-off.
We've been looking into. I don't think in the U.S. we had any precedent like that, but in Canada, I think there was a throuple that all 3 of them were on the kids' birth certificate.
That sounds
something
right.
like that.
I was looking into. I haven't finished my research, but I was looking at a living trust. I think you don't need to all be married to have a living trust to put everybody on that. So all the kids would be taken care of. And so that might be the loophole.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually what we've talked about as well, is when we have children to put everything into a trust and then it just all goes to them. And then we were kind of taken out of that equation a little bit, because that's what it comes down to. We just want the kids to have everything. And we want to make sure that they're taken care of.
It was all left to the chicken.
At this point, yes. At this point, it is all left to the chicken.
What advice would you guys give to a throuple just starting out?
Transparency.
Yes, I was about to say transparency. That's actually something when we were first starting out. And I think that's a part of why we've been so successful with our relationship too, is that when I came into the relationship, I started this thing called transparency. So it's like just in any moment that you're speaking and you just want to make sure that you're coming across correctly. You just say, to be transparent here, this is how I feel. And it's always an I message too, right?
Right.
Like you're making sure that your I messages are clear. Transparency is kind of like a nice cue to everyone else in the relationship, is like, I'm about to say something that's difficult for me, but I'm speaking my truth and I need you to hear it without imposing your own emotional bullshit on it, right? Like, just hear me for who I am right now, and then let's deal with it. But let me at least tell you what's going on, and I want you to hear that, and then we can digest it together. So transparency was a big thing for us, and it really helped with the jealousy that I was going through with coming into a defined marriage, and they have longevity together. And I think it really helped us, help me move past that jealousy as well.
Did any of you struggle with that transparency at the beginning? Like, was it really hard for any of you?
Yeah.
It's hard for me.
Like I said earlier, like Sarah's got the EQ going on. Like she does such a good job with that, and I feel like I do not at all. So it was a lot of learning and also working on myself to be able to give that feedback in that, because another part of that is like, hey, I'm being vulnerable here. Like, this is something hard. I'm being vulnerable. Like, help me with it. Rely on your team.
Yeah.
We talk about that too, relying on our team. Use your team. We do say use your team.
When someone's getting overwhelmed, it's like, okay, we'll delegate. It's like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
I have other people.
Do you feel like you're better individuals now that you've worked? Do you feel that you've worked through some of your issues, some of your problems? Did you become better partners now that you're in a throuple?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I asked you, like, it goes without saying, but I wanted you guys to say it for our listeners. It's worth it.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely worth it. There's a lot of introspective, like, self-reflection that has to happen in order to make this dynamic work, right? Like, if you're not working on yourself, you're not also helping your relationship. So it really comes back to making sure that you're good. Yes, self-care, making sure that, and like I've gone to lots of therapy. Jordan's done a lot of therapy too. We've done therapy together. Like, we're not afraid of that. right?
Yes.
We're not afraid of outside help to help us get to where we want to be, not just as individuals, but as the three of us too, as a family. Yeah.
Yeah. Has it been difficult to find a therapist that works with polyamorous individuals?
Not as difficult as I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we would go to therapists and be like, "Oh yeah, by the way, this is our dynamic," and they're like, "Yeah, no, that's normal." Like I see this all the time. Like it's so out there, but it's so quiet.
Right.
And the community, I feel like, is starting to grow a little bit more.
Yeah.
But yes, our community is pretty quiet.
Yes.
Yeah. We find that we actually even had a conversation with someone a few days ago that they were telling us, I've never met a throuple before, so you guys can't be that all over. And we're just not in your face. We're hiding it.
Yeah, it's very likely you have met a throuple and you just don't know because we're not introducing ourselves as, hi, I'm so-and-so, and I have two partners.
Yep.
I have a husband and a wife.
And it's always strange to actually like approach that conversation because it's like, hey, if it's not in most people's like worldview, like it's not even a thing. Like I said, even us like knew there was something that needed to be adjusted, but we didn't know about it until like it like just kind of like started happening organically. So it's interesting. And like I said, having so many people like coworkers and stuff coming out, like, and being like, they're like, nobody else knows, but this is my situation.
Yeah.
And it's like always like unique and like a different flavor, right? But it's not something that you just like come out and just like, hey, how are you? Like,
Right.
you said, these are my partners.
Yeah.
Because then it feels like, I don't know, boastful or something.
Right. You don't want to be in people's face. Yeah.
But most of the time it's just irrelevant. Like I'm not one to bring up stuff that's irrelevant to the conversation just for the sake of,
Yeah. Well, hopefully that's going to change in the future. That's what we're working for.
Thank you so much for joining us and sharing your story.
Thank you.
This has been amazing.
Yeah, been awesome hearing from you
It
guys.
was wonderful
Thank you.
to talk to you.
Wonderful talking to you guys.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed it.
So much fun.
If you like our episodes, subscribe to our channel and share them with people just like yourselves.
If you're in a throuple, please connect with us in the Facebook group Throuple Talks Connection Hub.
And we'll see you next time.